Yeah, we do remember the promises made to us before that conference started. So we'll certainly follow up and see those innovative ways, and especially connecting African countries when it comes to payment system. That's one expectation for that conference, the CIBN conference. So we'll be looking forward to the implementation of that. Now, the deployment of innovative and user-friendly renewable energy solutions, particularly for Nigeria's underserved and unserved markets may be one way to expand the use of renewable energy for more productivity. This comes even more necessary when we look at the GDP report for the second quarter of 2022, released by the National Bureau of Statistics, which showed that Nigeria's electricity sector contracted by 11.48% year-on-year in real terms. This means that the sector saw a loss of 15.4 billion naira from 134.19 recorded in the same period 2021. What are some of the existing strategies or innovative strategies that can be used to boost supply and a contribution from the sector? We have the Acting Chief Executive Director of All On. We have Mr. Afolabi Akinrogunde joining us here in the studio. Good morning. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, well, I'll just follow up with a conversation we had yesterday. I know probably you didn't watch the program, but yesterday we talked about the issue of staple crops processing and the issue of economic zones, you know, that we have the Lekki Free Zone, Free Trade Zone and all of that. And then the issue of infrastructure seemed to be a major hurdle. Because one of the reasons why people really want to go into those economic zones is because it's supposed to have everything, the infrastructure. Yes. But infrastructure has remained a challenge. Top on that list, apart from road, is power. So now we see Nigerians looking at alternative sources of energy. But how popular and accessible have these alternatives been? Because when we talk about solar, for instance, we talk about how expensive it is to start. How accessible is it, and how popular has it become in Nigeria?
Well, accessibility has improved somewhat. There are really two core levers which need to be moved to make accessibility better. One of those levers is basically private businesses who are doing what they can in that regard. So you have solar companies who are putting in place lease-to-own mechanisms and other sort of policies and other sort of programs to enable people get on that ladder of acquiring this product. You also have some fintechs which are also in the space, which are also providing buy now, pay later schemes to support the acquisition of this program or of this product, because the key challenge really is clear that solar is valuable, solar adds value, especially renewable, but of course, 90-something% of that is solar in Nigeria. But the challenge, of course, has always been how do you acquire it because of the costs. So we have those happening. We also have other things, other levers that can be pulled at the macro level, at the governmental level, which can help to reduce the acquisition cost, to reduce the cost, with the final people at the end of the day pay for this product. So things like waivers, things like tax credits and what have you, which have been put in place in many other countries, which have helped to add 5, 10, 15% reductions in the total cost of these products, which then makes it a lot easier. If something was supposed to be 100,000 naira, becomes 85,000 naira or 80,000 naira, it becomes a lot easier for people to get on board. So I think it's going to be a combination of both what these companies are doing of their own accord to enable the acquisition of these products, and also what the government is also doing. And of course, we also have to add to this what some other private companies are doing, like a model which we see now, which is basically power pay-per-use models, where you have people who you don't need to acquire, because that challenge is also how do you acquire? You've mentioned that yourself. You've got companies like Mobile Power Ready, all these companies which are putting in place systems where you just use each time you want this product, come, I give it to you, you use it, you can use it to power your fan, TV, charge your phones, or what have you. So that removes that challenge of acquisition cost. So everybody are in the space looking at creative ways of finding those solutions. But I think it's going to be a combination of what people are doing on their own and what the government can also do to support the ecosystem.
Yeah, okay. So an analysis by the International Renewable Energy Agency indicates that Nigeria's renewable energy capacity increased marginally from 2,154 megawatts in 2021 to 2,150 megawatts. That's from 2,150 to 2,154. That's very marginal, like four. But really, what do they mean by an increase in the megawatts available?
Yeah, that's basically the capacity of all the systems put together which are in the country. Of course, it is also key to also note when talking about that 2020 was a unique year.
Yes,
that was when we had COVID and with the attendant supply chain, logistical challenges.
Yes.
Even
but what
deal-making was a challenge.
Is it more people getting involved, more companies, creating the equipment and
exactly.
all of that?
The equipment's coming in country, those equipments being utilized, those equipments being put together, all of that together.
So now that customs is increasing, I don't know if you heard that, increasing, the levies and imports duties, that of course will also, because these things are not being manufactured in Nigeria.
Yes, exactly, because part of our own mandate really is to look at how to support the entire ecosystem. So we have companies in our portfolio, for example, which are assembling these products in country, because it's clear to us that as a country we cannot solve this problem unless we start domesticating some of these value chains in country in Nigeria. So we have Oxano, for example, which is doing that in country. But it's going to be clear to us that we need to also have, as a country, an internally consistent policy around where do we want to go in this direction, and we need to have some coordination, because you have on one hand the Ministry of Finance saying that they are giving IDEX, waivers or whatever to companies who are bringing in this equipment into the country, but you also then have the customs, which also has a mandate from the same government to bring in revenue, and you need somebody to make these two parties talk together and say, guys, can we organize and coordinate in a way? So I think we need that strict coordination, that idea of what is the big picture for this entire economy, where do we want to be as a country in terms of percentage of renewable energy, in terms of the strength of our own system over time. So I think we need that really, because everybody can continue doing what they're doing at my level, at my company's level, at the individual level, but you need somebody to support at the macro level the entire ecosystem.
Yeah, I think you just brought out a point there, which is not new in Nigeria, unfortunately. The customs, they are there, they have their own revenue target, which might be one of the reasons they're increasing, the imports, excise duties and all of that. And then you have the ministry trying to say, okay, well, we want to make it easier for people to bring in this equipment so that there'll be spread. Once there's spread of power and electricity, then you can expect there to be a boom in economic activities, and there'll be an increase in tax payments at the end of the day.
Big picture thinking, but that's really that challenge we continue to have. We need to have, as much as is possible, coordination, because that's really that challenge. We have people working in silos doing their own fantastic work in their own various areas, but sometimes these things bang heads at some level, and we need to sit down and say, as a government, as Nigeria, federal government, state government, various arms of the government, what are you doing? Okay, you want to do this, even at the planning level, you want to do this next year. Okay, what you're doing may have an impact on agriculture, may have an impact on this, and let's find a way to ensure that this becomes a beautiful choir singing melodiously.
Yeah, and another thing I think I picked from your point is domesticating the process, so we don't have to import everything. But I spoke to a manufacturer, someone who, I don't know if they call him a manufacturer, of traveling bags. And he did complain how, as tiny as bolts and nuts are, they have to import it. So what happens to the cottage factories that are supposed to be doing those little things, even if it's just the bolts and nuts, so that we don't have to import? At least that's going to reduce the import bill. Yeah,
of course. You then go back to Ajakuta, you go back to steel, you go back to all the other challenges. So I think, at the end of the day, I think we need to have, hopefully, leaders work in four-year silos. Every 4 years you have to think of coming back into office, and then you don't have more than 8 years. But some of the things we need to do as a country would need pretty much 10, 15, 20-year thinking. So we need to have that leadership that has that level of thinking, that is able to push through these policies, because you also have entrenched interests who are also working and making things difficult. So it's going to be up to that leader, and the leadership that's also very strong, because because it's a difficult job, really. I wouldn't want to become the leader of this country.
You don't want to be the president of Nigeria.
Yeah.
All right, so one of the current conversations now is energy transition. How real is that to Nigeria? How real is it to Nigeria, in Nigeria?
I think it's becoming clear to everybody that number one starting point is that energy is becoming precious. It's clear to everybody that energy is becoming precious. If we were producing 3,000 megawatts, 3,000 megawatts, 3 gigawatts 20 years ago or 15 years ago, and we're still on that path. And our population has added 15, 20 million over that time. No, we're all sharing from that same pool. So it's clear to us that number one thing is really that energy is scarcer, and it's clear now that people are becoming a lot more aware of this fact. So you see a lot more energy efficient bulbs around because everybody's getting it. Because part of the energy transition is actually the energy that you have. How do you use it a lot more intelligently? So people are now saying, no, rather than having these 60-watt bulbs that's going to 3x my power bill, let me buy something better. And so people are beginning to get on that journey. But I think it's going to be both a realization of how non-adherence to what is coming is going to hit people in their pockets.
What is coming?
No, in terms of the energy transition.
Okay. Is it really coming in Nigeria?
It is. It's going to come eventually. I won't say whether it's going. It won't be 10 now. It won't be 20 years. It won't be 15 years. But it's definitely coming because climate change is clear. Everything is changing around us, and it's going to be clear that we need to really start to change how we do things. But the critical thing for us is going to be we've got a 20, 30, 40-year head start as a country. We've got all of these resources. What do we do to maximize all of these resources that we have? I'm not one of those that say that, oh, destroy all the oil and gas. It's clear to us now. You were discussing Russia a few minutes ago that, yes, you still need oil and gas. Europe is at risk of a cold winter. So what do we do to maximize the oil and gas that we have while still putting a leg? Saudi Arabia produces 10x more oil and gas more oil than we produce. They have a leg in this future. So how do we, while maximizing what we have, oil, and then gas is a transition fuel, let us optimize 1 BCF that we're exporting, make that 1.5, make that 2 BCF. Let's also put in 500 million scoff a BCF into the country so that we can then maximize this. Because, yeah, you can wake up 40 years' time, they say oil, don't use oil again or don't use gas again, 50 years' time. Or there can be an invention that may then make solar or renewables much more cost competitive. So it's up to us to say we have 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Let us maximize, but we're not even having that conversation here.
Exactly.
When I joined the energy industry 20 years ago, Nigeria was producing 2 million barrels, 2-point-something million barrels. Today it's 1 million.
We didn't even do a million last month. We didn't do a million last month. That's why Angola has overtaken Nigeria as the biggest producer on the continent. So, I mean, that's another conversation. Yeah. So, I guess that even if Nigerians as individuals now will not embrace the transition because of climate change, I guess they will embrace it because of economic reasons, as you said.
Definitely.
It reduces mostly your bills and...
Yeah, like I was telling the MD of one of the discos a year and a half ago, all you need is for solar costs, is for solar battery costs and everything to reduce by 50%, 60%, and you don't have a business again. That's all you need.
That was harsh.
Yeah, so the same way
it can reduce if we're producing it here.
Yeah, it won't get that far, but we can make significant reductions, yes.
Yeah, at least we can do a part of it in the country. We wait for those days. We wait for those days. Thank you so much, Mr. Afolabi Akinrogunde, Acting Chief Executive Officer of All On. And we are with you in this transition because it's for a better world.
Amen. Thank you.
All right, so let's take a break now. After the break, we head to Afex Commodity Exchange and find out how they traded last week. That's after the break. This is Business Morning on Channels Television.
This will not work, no issue.